So today for class we're going to be doing a lot of circling around, and I'd like you to have one strap, 2 blocks, and then once you've got that, go ahead and stand in mountain pose. Starts by standing. Go ahead, lift your toes. Feel the base of your toes, your heels root down. Feel that reverberate into the spine. Bring your hands onto your hips. And encourage your spine to lengthen as well. Straight up, then bring your toes on down. As you stay stable with the legs, the spine, go ahead and circle your shoulders a few times, up and around. And then let's slow it down actually. So take it up really, really high. Remember those penguins? Maybe you've done them before. And then back, squeezing shoulder blades together. And then down, holding for a moment, and forward. One more time, holding a little bit longer. So up, squeeze back, back, back. Squeeze down, and forward. So it's a windy day here. And I'm experimenting with a little bit different backdrop because it's been very sunny, so it's been hard to film. So if you have any comments about it, let me know. But most importantly, circle your shoulders. So we got the shoulders. Now for the hips. Take your feet a little bit more than the hips distance apart. Take your hips forward to the left. And back, and to the right, and circle around a little bit more. And bring your hands onto your hips. And then switch directions. So go slow the first time to the right, and back, around to the left, and forward. A few more circles. All right, and back to center. Now I was going to do this at the end, but I'm inspired. Maybe you'll be too. Circle your shoulders. So I'm going to do it now instead. And then as you circle your shoulders, circle your hips. So you're circling. One of the reasons it's confusing is you're circling in different directions. Okay. Keep the shoulders circling the same way and switch the circles of your hips. It's good for the brain. All right. And then let it go, give it a little shake, a little shimmy, and come on down to the ground. Pay attention to how you get there. All right, and then lie down on your back. Take a nice exhalation. Just let yourself feel connected to the floor. And again, inhale. And exhale. So we're going to do a few movements lying down that are very hard to see on camera and even in person, but you might feel them. That's the intention, is to get you to feel, because it's a subtle movement of engaging the belly a little. So I'd like you to do is place your hands, so your thumb is on your navel and your hands go below that. Inhale, feel the belly expand. And as you exhale, encourage your hip points and your sit bones to come towards each other. So there's a feeling of squeezing in there. You might squeeze in the belly, squeeze in the pelvic floor, and then as you inhale, let go. And on your own breath, exhale, squeeze the hip points, sit bones towards each other. Inhale, let go. Exhale, squeeze, sit bones, hip points. Exhale, let go. Okay, so now, can you create that action beginning on the exhalation, but keep breathing, holding the sit bones and the hip points towards each other. You'll find that as you do this, you won't be able to breathe as much into the belly. You might find you're breathing at least into the upper belly or the rib cage. That's fine. Right, when we do different movements, we breathe in different ways. There isn't one way to breathe, one right way to breathe. So still, hip points together, engaging the pelvic floor, sit bones together. And then let go. And let's do that again one more time. So start with the exhalation. Bring the hip points together, the sit bones together. Just hold that stable. And now as you hold that, take your arms out to your side like a cactus, making sure your hands touch the floor. So keeping the hip points, the sit bones towards each other, letting the upper arms be relaxed. All right, and then let go in the belly. We're going to do one more time. This time, when you engage the hip points and the sit bones, draw your navel down towards the floor without moving your spine. So exhale, hip points, navel, sit bones all engage, but you keep the spine steady and just hold that there. Breathe. You get to choose how strong the movement is. All right, and then let go. Good. Saying good to myself and to you too. So take your feet as wide as the mat. Let's come into Elvis twist, arms out to the side, right knee towards the left foot, left leg goes out to the side. Reach long through your left arm. Nice big breath into the belly, maybe it comes into the ribs. Let your head turn to the right. And then come up, use your left leg to come up. And over to the other side. Reach long through the left thigh. And then come back up. All right, so now, time to graze the grass. So we prepared the belly to engage, to activate, to support the movement of the feet so that we're really waking up the center of our body. So grazing the grass is imagining that you are lying on the grass and that both feet are touching the floor, the grass, the ground, and you're going to lift the bones of your feet a little bit, but still have the skin touching the ground. As you do that, begin to do that with the left leg. Now notice, are you pressing your right foot into the ground? If so, soften the right foot. So no change in the pressure of the right foot. It's just a gentle lift of the left. And that's coming from the center, from the abdominal muscles, from pelvic floor muscles to give you stability. Go ahead and let go. Inhale. On your exhalation, second side, right foot. So the foot still grazing the grass, grazing the carpet, grazing the floor. You still feel the skin touching, but a sense of the bones lifting up, which requires activation in the center of your body. If it works for you, you can still encourage the hip points to move towards each other, the sit bones to move towards each other, the navel to move down without the back moving. So it's a very concentrated movement. Ooh. And release. Breathe. If it causes any discomfort in your lower back, stop immediately and just do it with much lesser intensity. Okay, back to the left side. We'll do each side one more time. So sit bones together, hip points together. Left foot just barely lifting up. breathing. And release. And back to the other side. Exhale. Hip points together. Sit bones together. Right foot just barely sensing it's lifting. Keeping stability in the center. And release. Okay, we've done a lot just being stable, so let's take a little time for Tetrasana. Move around a little, arms, legs. If it feels good to lift up a little, roll around a little, go ahead and do that. And then if you have a strap and it's not within reach, go ahead and get it now. Bring it within reach. And then lie back down. Okay, so here we go, starting with circles. On your exhalation, keeping stability in the center. Lift your left foot off the floor. Bring your left leg so it's perpendicular to the floor. And then begin to circle, little circles. You can keep your hand on the thigh. And the intention is to keep the stability in the center as you circle. And then as you go, notice if there's a spot that feels a little stickier. And if so, move a little bit more in and out of that spot. I have one on the outer left area. So you start with small circles, and then if the small feels good, you can make them bigger. But if you find a glitchy area, right, move in and out of that. All right, and then switch directions. So still stability in the center, switch the directions of the circle. And then release. This is actually small and slow, but it can be very challenging if you do it, paying a lot of attention. Okay, right leg. Lift the leg up and begin to circle. Again, noticing if there's a place where it feels a little glitchy, move in and out of that place. Feel free to use your hand to help. And then switch directions. Good. All right, and then release. Oh, let your legs go for a moment. Just let it be. Nice long exhalation. Wiggle your lower jaw a little to one side, to the other side. Again, one side. It's a little hard to talk while you do that. Other side. All right, jaws are connected to the hips, actually quite a bit. Okay, so go ahead, find your strap. Bend your right knee, place your right foot on the floor. Bend your left knee to the chest. Let's take the left leg up and away. Just regular, good old opening up the back of the leg. Press your foot into the strap, strap into the foot. Open up the back of the leg. And breathe. And then begin to bring the leg a little forward and back. As you do that, keep the stability in your lower back. So you're not rounding, nothing like that. Just forward and back. waking up the leg a little more. And then if you found a spot you want to hold a little longer, go ahead and do that. And then release. And second side. So just getting the leg ready to do a few more things. Get the length in the back of your thigh. And take the leg up and down. And if there's one spot you want to hold that a little. And then bend the knee and release. Let your legs go for a moment. Nice inhalation. Exhale. Come back to the first side. Bend your knees. Actually, bend both knees. Bring your left knee in towards your chest. Last solar foot. Take your leg up and away. Now hold on to the strap just with your left hand. And reach through the heel. And then from the top of the thigh, I'd like you to externally rotate the leg. And then internally rotate the leg. So you're just moving the thigh from the thigh bone itself. Keep your pelvis steady. And then I'd like you to notice if one direction is more challenging, internal or external. For me, it's internal. So whichever way is more challenging, put your leg in that position and little circles. Just like we did with the knee bent. And now we have the challenge of having the calves, the hamstrings, the foot more so as part of this movement. So I think some of you have heard of me talking about improving your movement vocabulary, having a better map. That's what we're doing. Go ahead and switch directions. So often there's certain areas we tend not to move. And then our mind, our brain, is less secure in how to move there. It's got a fuzzy map of that area. And then sometimes when we're in a situation where we accidentally move into that area, our body isn't really ready to deal with it. Go ahead, switch directions again. Maybe make it a little bigger. So a lot of the movements we're doing today are to help create a clearer map, build our movement vocabulary. Okay, so now one more thing. Keep that rotation, whether internal or external, but put your leg at a little bit different angle. Maybe either out to the side or crossed a little bit over towards the other leg and circle in that position. So you could see how we could do a whole hour just with this left leg up in the air. And you're welcome to do that if you want, but today I'd like us to spend some time on this and then bring it into other realms. But just an idea, if you don't know what to do, it's a rainy or snowy day, you can spend an hour on each leg just circling. Okay, go ahead, release. Feel the legs next to each other. One more side. Take right knee into your chest, strap around your foot, extend the leg. Keep the opposite leg bent because that gives you a little more control. And then check, get your diagnostic again here. Internally and externally rotate the thigh a few times to see which one feels more challenging. I will say, for the majority of people, the internal is harder. And then go ahead and circle. That doesn't mean that's your case, but if you're wondering, for most people, create those little circles. I find it challenging to keep it smooth. Challenging and interesting. And then switch directions. So you're switching directions of the circle while keeping the thigh bone rotated in the same place. All right, and then mix it up a little. Find another position to put your leg in. And then once you found it, go ahead and circle there. And switch directions. And then release. Extend your legs. Exhale. Let your jaw soften. Okay, now bend both knees. Take your left ankle over your right thigh and circle. We'll bring the circle to the ankle. So now when you circle your ankle, encourage your toes to not be involved in the movement. They're going to move because they're connected, but notice if your toes tense, the top of the foot tenses. Create the circle of the ankle from the ankle itself. And then switch directions. And then let the ankle go. Bring your right knee into your chest. So again, the external rotation in the left thigh. Hold that a moment, just there, feeling that opening. And then little circles with the right thigh to bring your left thigh also into a different position. As you do this, encourage the center of your body to stay stable. And then switch directions. All right, and then release. And second side. Right ankle over the left thigh. Bring the knee into the chest. And circle the left thigh. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about the ankle. I got distracted, you may have heard a little noise. All right, go ahead, circle the ankle. And switch directions. Again, keeping it stable as you go. I mean, stable by, that was not the right word. Keep your toes relaxed. Focusing on the movement on the ankle. And then bring your left knee in toward your chest and circle the left thigh slowly. And switch directions. And release. All right, and a little tetrasana. Move around. And then make your way over to your side. Coming up to sitting. And get a little height. Take a moment to sit in Dandasana. So take your feet out in front. And then bend your knees slightly. Take your hands to the backs of your thighs. Push your hands into your thighs, thighs into your hands. Straighten the legs. Good. Just a moment to find that length. And then bend your left knee. Hold on to the shin. Keep the spine long. And rock your right leg in and out. Just rotations. Encourage that movement to come from the thigh bone. All right, and then let's do a little twist. We did a lot on our backs. Let's get our spine moving a little. So on your inhalation, lift and lengthen your spine. On your exhalation from the belly, spiral to the left. Take your time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Left hand can go behind your back. Take your time, keeping moving from the shoulders, and at the end from your neck to turn your head. And then at the very end, go ahead and lift your left arm, reach out back as you breathe. One more inhalation. On your exhalation, go ahead and unwind. Come back to center. Good. Back to Dandasana. Wiggle your toes a few times. And second side. Bend your right knee. Hold on to the shin. Lengthen your spine. Rock the leg in and out. Trying to see if you can see my foot. I think so. Oh, you see my toes. But what's most important is you are moving from the thigh bone, in and out. Okay, and then come back to neutral. Hold on to the shin. Lengthen the spine, and from the belly begin to spiral. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Taking your time. So you take your time, you get this twist in the shoulders, and then in the neck. And if it feels appropriate, go ahead and extend your right arm out, keeping the shoulder blade down the back. One more inhalation, and go ahead and unwind. Back to center, back to Dandasana. And from Dandasana, come into Baddha Konasana, but I want you to just do it slowly first. So go ahead, bend your left knee first, and then take it out to the side so you feel the rotation of the thigh. Bend the right knee, take it out to the side, again feeling the rotation of the thigh. Just notice where the thighs go. And then take your hand actually to your thigh and internally rotate it. So take one hand the top inner thigh, one hand the bottom of the thigh, and internally rotate it. Lean a little, because your sit bone might move. Lean a little away from that leg. Bring it down. And then the other side, hold on to the thigh, and lean a little to your left. Get that rotation. And I'd like you to just notice if that made a difference for how this pose feels. Getting a little internal rotation. It's an interesting juxtaposition because our thighs are turned away from each other, but actually getting a little internal rotation for some people can help this pose feel better. So from here, bring the base of your toes together now, and notice that's going to change where your thighs go in this pose. And then from here, come into Upavista Konasana. Take your legs wide apart. I think you can still see my toes in the picture. And like we did earlier, rock your legs. Start with the left leg. Put your hand on the thigh. Rock it a little in and out. Getting that rotation. And then go the second side, in and out. Or internal, external. And then make your way back to Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together. Take a moment. Feel that. All right, so from here, I'd like you to transition. We're going to transition to standing. And I understand some people are not putting weight on their arms. So I want to give you the option of actually staying in Baddha Konasana for a little bit longer, coming into puppy pose, or coming into downward facing dog. I'm going to stay in Baddha Konasana a little longer, but you choose. Puppy pose, downward facing dog, sitting here for a few more breaths. And then let's all make our way to standing. If you're in Baddha Konasana, bring your knees together and notice how you choose to stand up. Make your way up to standing. And one of my push pins fell down, so I'm going to put it over here so I don't step on it. We come back to our circles. So stand with your feet a little wider than your hips. And take your hips forward, to the left, back, and to the right. So nice round circles. Guess, I don't know, are there other kinds of circles that aren't so round? And then switch directions. So all these circles we are doing, we have our knees, our legs are straight, most of these hip circles. But now let's do a few where our knees are bent. So when our knees are bent, we really get the feeling of the pelvis moving over the hip joint. So we're going to start by, before we get into the circle, just by going forward and back. So knees bent, right? And take your hips forward and back. Forward and back, forward and back. Now as I'm doing this, the intention is to keep the upper body steady. And then going side to side. So left hip up, right hip up. Left hip up, right hip up. A little bit side to side. Keeping the upper body as still as possible. And then, let's put it in a circle. So, pelvis forward, left, back, right. Forward, left, back, right. Smooth it out. and then go the other direction. And come back up to center. It is time for a big asana. Let's take the legs wide. Get your blocks, though. Get your blocks. Bring them to the front of your mat. And move, if you have anything in the way, move it out of the way. Take your legs wide. Take your arms wide. Take up a lot of space. Breathe. Roll your arms so your palms face up towards the ceiling. Reach out. Breathe. Bring your hands to your hips and encourage your hip sockets. Lift up and over your thigh bones. Hinge forward. Bring your hands onto the blocks. So as we're doing more with hip openings today, press your thigh bones back. Really encourage your hip sockets. Lift up and over your thigh bones. And then bend your left knee a little bit. So your torso is going to move over to the left. Straighten the leg back up. And bend the right knee. And go a little side to side. You might feel a stretch in the inner thigh. That can be a good thing. I'm keeping my feet parallel. If that doesn't work for you, you can shift that. Now I'm going to fine tune it a little. Before, you may see that my pelvis is going up and down. Now, for a little more challenge, is to keep the pelvis at pretty much the same level, the same height. So instead, I'm exaggerating, instead of going like this up and down, I'm moving the leg, but not moving the pelvis, not changing the level of my pelvis. It requires a little more hip mobility. That's why it's challenging. Ooh, for me it's especially challenging on the right side, which I find really interesting. Okay, and then come back to center. Walk the blocks as far forward as they will go. Nice long spine. And then walk the blocks back. And bend your knees slightly. Inhale, come up. Walk your feet together. Give a little circle to the left. Little circle to the right. Celebratory circles. Back to mountain pose. From mountain pose, we're going to do a little eye circles. So leave the hips for a moment. A little circle with the eyes. So take your two fingers so they're right by your chin. And we're going to do a half circle on one side and then a half circle on the other side, so that your whole hand, the side you're looking at is the same side the finger you're looking at. I think I'm making this too complicated by trying to explain it this way, but this is what I mean. So I think you do it with me. So we're going to start with your left side. So take your finger a little bit down. Watch your finger as you make a half circle. Take it all the way up and then bring it back down. And then do the same thing on the other side. Just watch your eyes. Watch your finger with your eyes. Good. And then release. Take a moment. Let's add a little more Z-health element to this. So I want you to check your balance. So the way you check your balance for today is either with your eyes open or closed. Lift your left leg. And see how your balance is when you lift your left leg. And if it's pretty good, take your head back and forth. It's going to challenge the balance a little bit more. Okay. So notice, that's a diagnostic where your balance is. So now, let's do eye circles just on one side. So start on the left side. Take your finger out to the left. Come up and around. Come back down. Do it one more time. Okay, and then check your balance. Close your eyes if that's the way you did it. Lift your leg. Whoa, so for me, my balance got worse. So I know that that's not what I should be doing too much of right now. So let's see what happens on the left side. I mean the right side for you. Left side for me. So okay, I'll stop talking. Let's go ahead and do it. Circle. All right, and then check again your balance. Yeah, see now I'm back to, still not quite back to how it was before, but actually it's a lot better. I can take my head a little back and forth. So what happens is when you start doing something where your body feels threatened, your nervous system gets a little more compromised and shuts a little down and makes it harder to balance. So if one of those sides you felt your balance got better, that's something you can practice throughout the day. And at least for now, don't practice the side that got worse. There's more variations of details of this. If you want to know more, you can ask me, because when I work with individuals, we can really pinpoint what it is that's threatening and what it is that gets good results. All right, so my intention was to work with that for balance, so we can do some more balance. So what I'd like you to do is to get a block. And if it's hard for you to stand on one foot completely comfortably, then get a chair or a ledge. The sun's starting to come in, so I'm going to not use the ledge because I want you to be able to see me fully, not half in shade and half in sun. Get what you need, and then go ahead and stand on the block. Come into mountain pose, but with your block under your right leg, so your left leg is free. Whoops. There goes a part of my setup, but it's fine. I think it's okay now. So just hold for a moment, mountain pose, feet grounding, spine lengthening. Breathe. And then release. Take your right ankle of your thigh, open up the hip a little. Might feel good to open that after you've done that. Stand on the second side now. So you were standing on your left leg. Now stand on, whichever, I'm sorry, I forgot which one you were standing. I think you were standing on your right leg. So now stand on the left leg. Find the balance. Mountain pose, encourage your hips to be even with each other. Breathe. And then release. Give a little shake, little shimmy. So you may wonder, what does this have to do with circles? Aha! Now we find out. We're going to be circling the leg that we are not standing on. So let's start with your right leg on the block. So your left leg is off the block. In a neutral position, begin to circle. Neutral, I mean by having the foot forward. You can take your hand actually on both sides. You want to not sink. You don't want to wind up sinking into this hip. So lift up out of that hip. All that gluteal cognizance work. And circle. And if it gets tiring, fatigued, stop. Right, this is something you can build up and work on. I certainly couldn't do this when I first started. Switch directions. And then if you feel a spot where you feel a little glitchier, move in and out of that spot slowly. This is also the kind of thing you could spend an hour on each leg, right? Okay, release that, but let's release that for now. We can do an hour cumulatively, not all in one shot, but as we keep practicing, second side, eventually we'll add up to an hour. And then switch directions. And again, the second side you might get tired, fatigued faster than the first side because you're using the muscles on both sides. And release. Little shake, little shimmy. Take your legs a little wide apart. Let's do just regular circles. 3 to the left. And 3 to the right. Let's come back to the first side. So stand on your right leg again. And remember when we were lying down, we did the rotation to see which one was more challenging. So choose one of those rotations, external or internal. For me, it's internal. And with that internal rotation, circle the leg. So there really are infinite variations because you could take the leg out in front, you could take it in back. It actually depends really what is good for your body. But most importantly, just keep the rotation. And then keep the rotation, switch the direction of the circle. All right, and then release that. And one more side. So come up onto your left foot, internally rotate your right leg, and circle. And then switch directions. You might be feeling some fatigue. I am. All right, and release. Ooh, more shaking, shimmying. Hip circles, feet a little wider. 3 times to the left. And 3 times to the right. Now bring your feet together, and this time we do a little bit different kind of circle where keep your head as much as possible stable. For me, it's actually hard. Part of that has to do with certain instability in my spine. Go ahead and switch the directions. Notice how that's different than, right, getting everything moving. So just the hips, the shoulders move, but your head pretty much stays in the same position. Then release that. Time for a more classic yoga position. Legs wide again, arms wide again, big asana. Roll your arms, palms face up. Take a moment with the shoulders. Arms up like a cactus. Turn your head over to the left. Elbow in line with the shoulder. Back to center. Turn your head to the right. Elbow in line with the shoulder. Back to center. Bring your hands under the hips. Now, from the thigh bone, turn the right leg in. Turn your left leg out. Keep your spine long and begin to bend and straighten the front knee. So we've done all these movements in the hips with the intention of making these positions, these movements, smoother, more stable. and definitely having a greater sense of freedom. And then hold for a moment. Maybe reposition the legs. Breathe. And come back up. And other direction. Left leg comes in, right leg comes out. Spine stays long, bending and straightening. So there's a lot of movement in the hips when we're doing this pose. The front and the back leg. We often think of the front leg rotation, but there's movement rotation in the back leg as well. Right, and then hold the position. Maybe readjust the legs a little. And then come back up. Let's go back to the first side and bring it right into classic warrior two. Arms on up. From the center, reach out. Bend the front knee. Look out over your left arm. Breathe. And then come back up. We'll go over the second side. Left leg in, right leg out. Nice inhalation. Exhale, front knee. Deepens. And come back up. Hands to the hips. And fold forward. Take your blocks. I'm hoping they're nearby. Walk your arms forward if that feels appropriate. And then walk your hands back. And inhale, come up. Walk your feet together. Give a little shake and a little shimmy. Let's do another standing pose. A little bit different angles with the hips. Warrior one. Turn, so take your legs wide again. Turn your right leg in, left leg out. Long reach through the back leg. And bend and straighten a few times. Notice how your back feels. If it feels a little compromised, walk your left foot a little bit more, or your right foot a little bit more out to the side. Actually, you could walk either one, either the front leg or the back leg. Okay, and then the next time you bend the front knee, stay there. Reach long with the back leg. Encourage your spine to lengthen up. Just be in the pose. Make your adjustments as you go. And then release. Let's come to the second side. Turn the left leg in. Right leg out. Lift your back heel. Pivot. Find the position, the width of the pose, and then bending and straightening the front knee. Keeping the spine long as you go. And then hold the position with the legs. Long reach through the back leg. And take your arms on up. Root down with the back leg. Lift up with the arms. And then release, straighten the front leg, turn the right leg forward, wide-legged forward fold. This time, if it feels good, release all the way down towards the floor. And then to come up, bend your knees a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips. Walk your feet together. Stand in mountain pose. Okay. And then take a moment to do any hip movement that feels good for you, that you enjoy. Hip circles, knees bent, legs straight, or anything else you want to play with. I know some of you are working on some other hip movements that I'll explore in other classes, but doing the simple things we did today can really help build some of the complex movements. And they also help you feel better when you walk more smoothly, which also helps the back feel better. On and on and on, all sorts of good reasons to take the time to do the small things, the micro movements that help the macro movements. All right, so let's slow the movement down, come into mountain pose, feet grounding, spine lengthening, let your jaw soften. Breathe. And then flow your way down to the ground. Lie down on your back. Let's take your arms out to your side, feet as wide as your mat, Elvis twist, left knee to right foot, right knee out to the side, spine spirals. Longer exhalation, gentle and active inhalation. And then use your left leg to initiate coming up and over to the other side. And then use your right leg to come back up. Slide your arms by your side, extend your legs onto the floor. Let your jaw soften. Let your breath flow. And let the flow of the breath guide you to Shavasana, to relaxation. And then, slowly and gently, bring your awareness back to your body and back to your breath. Bring a little movement to your fingers, bring a little movement to your toes. Reach a little through your arms, reach a little through your legs. And make your way up to lying down on your side. And then make your way to sitting. Take a moment to sit. Sit bones ground, spine lengthens. Let's bring our palms together over the heart. And may the movements, may all the circles create a sense of wholeness where we can feel a greater sense of comfort, joy, ease, and freedom. Namaste. Mahalo. Thank you. So I think I mentioned it throughout the class, but sometimes taking the time, and I'm doing it with my arms, but taking the time to go into those little micro movements really can have a profound effect on the macro movements. And it's not something that you have to do often, but every so often check in, do that slow movements like we did today just with the legs. Maybe I was doing this, so I'm planning another one in the coming future to focus more on the rotations of the arms. And I think that's what I wanted to say. But play around with it when you have a little time. I'm using my arms because I'm sitting. But just little circles with the different rotations. What I mentioned before, that mapping in the body is huge. And the clearer your map, the more you can move with freedom and prevent injury and have less pain. And I think it feels, gives you more opportunity to do more things, and it feels really good. All right, enough talking for now. Thanks for watching. Till next time, aloha.